What's up guys? So these past few weeks have dictated events that would shape the UFC's entire landscape. With the surprising non-stalemate fight that we saw between JDM and Bilal, ripple effects made its way across multiple divisions. And so with JDM retaining the welterweight belt, Islam is now vacating his title and moving up in hopes of becoming two-divisional champ. Now this move obviously shakes things up in the lightweight division, but for a little less than a year now, it was Ilia who had constantly hinted at wanting to move up, and funny enough, it was him doing all the talking for the lightweight division. So with Dana and with the help of JDM, they pieced in to fulfill Ilia's desires, and he is now set up to square off in UFC 317 against none other than Charles Oliveira. But this campaign from Topuria has proven to be rather controversial, and some believe Ilia has taken it too far, to the point where this very next fight will dictate the fallout of his MMA career. Now before getting more in depth on the problem with Ilia Topuria, my name is Raf and this is a channel for everything MMA and boxing, so make sure you subscribe and join the army. Now Ilia's rise in the UFC has been nothing short of incredible. He is undefeated, defeating all-time featherweight champ Alexander Volkanovski and recently Max Holloway. Now with all this steam from Ilia, he looked to be the next face of the featherweight division, carrying the reign that Volk had left behind. But that is exactly where it would end. The fight with Max was the last that we would see from Ilia in the featherweight division. He believed his natural weight was at 155, and that's where the jump and all the talks of moving up to lightweight started. But after months of speculation and UFC fans desperately and frantically waiting for Uncle Dana to drop some news, the Dana bomb was finally dropped and Ilia had gotten what he desperately wished for. However, the means of Ilia doing so was rather interesting. Ilia throughout his campaign has called out Islam heavily, like extensively, bringing up Khabib, stating that Khabib knows Ilia is the only one that can really beat Islam. And on top of that, he repeatedly called Islam a coward and that all he was doing was ducking him. In reality though, I think it's clear that Islam is the furthest one from ducking anybody. Islam was ready to fight Topuria had Bilal won, and we have seen Islam timelessly step up to the plate whenever Dana picks out a fight. And as a spectator of the sport, one thing I can't really wrap my mind on is that people knock Islam's resume for fighting a true featherweight champ like Volk, but then bash on Islam for not fighting another featherweight. I mean, the paradox on Islam is far-fetched and people just find a way to hate and side with Ilia by association. But whatever beef Topuria and Islam have is between them, and Ilia definitely doesn't have that hostility towards his new crowned opponent Charles Oliveira. That being said, Ilia Topuria still indirectly found a way to let his trash talking and overconfident nature spill out in another tweet by stating, "I like Charles, so I will find a way to do the least amount of damage to defeat him." Now with all the trash talk like this, two fighters really come to mind. Colby Covington throughout his entire MMA career had been on the front end of all the smoke. This confidence was used in his power and he secured himself the interim welterweight belt. Now with him essentially running the top of the welterweight division, the social proof and the actual belt was there, and that ego got even more inflated. Because of this, Colby's overzealousness was further exasperated and led to his own very demise, becoming one of the most unliked fighters and having nothing to show for it anymore. It builds up fights for sure, markets yourself highly, and puts money in your pockets. All of the above resembles another UFC star, the notorious McGregor. Now we all know McGregor has been the epitome of all trash talk and overconfidence, which transpired into him achieving the featherweight world title similar to Ilia. But some would say he took it too far with Khabib, and we all know the beating Conor received after doing so. All that being said, McGregor marketed the fight and got a huge fight purse. However, since this single point in time, McGregor has never been the same. He went on to fight Dustin twice in the lightweight division and got laid out on the canvas on both occasions. McGregor has yet to fight for 4 years now, and a return against Chandler was set up, but ultimately McGregor had to pull out due to a pinky toe injury. Now all this to say, we have seen the public perceptions turn on a fighter when trash talking doesn't go right. After all, if you go out and don't accomplish what you put out, you are usually faced with scrutiny and become a villain and simply unlikable in the sport. That is why trash talking is a dangerous game, and it really is a double-edged sword. On one end, it shows the confidence and it builds fights, but you need to back it up, especially for a sustainable and long career. All this leads to the question, can Ilia overtake Charles Oliveira? Now no doubt about it, Ilia's rise, as I mentioned earlier, in the UFC has been nothing short of incredible. He is undefeated and he's proven to pack a deadly punch, but being realistic, Ilia had defeated a Volkanovski that was just returning from 2 horrifying losses. Volk claimed that he drank and fell into a fighting depression after his first loss, and this was the version of Volk that Ilia had fought. Again, no knock against Ilia's performance, but many would argue Volk was not at his dominating vintage self. His next fight came against Max Holloway, who is and was the BMF holder, and this, I think we can all agree, was an extremely meaningful win for Topuria. With Max coming off a vigorous knockout against Gaethje, Ilia put on a performance that would increase his fighting stock. But with just one title defense and Ilia being only 28, many fighters and fans alike think he is jumping the gun too quick. With Ilia's first time making the jump to 155 and having just 8 bouts in the UFC compared to Charles's 30 plus, he is to face one of the greatest and experienced future Hall of Famers in Charles Oliveira, who arguably has the second best ground game in the UFC. And let's not forget, Charles is the former lightweight champ, defeating greats like both Dustin and Gaethje, and so the consequences of Topuria losing are extremely high, and if it does happen, the beginning of the end is not far-fetched, and we have seen instances of this very detriment. Additionally, if Charles does hoist that belt at UFC 317, Ilia is going to be left in a really weird predicament. On one end, he was talking so much, saying that he would run through the lightweight division, and now he's talking about he wants to move up to welterweight after defeating Charles. But if the tables turn on that UFC 317 night, Ilia is going to be left in a weird spot in the middle of the sea with sharks surrounding him. The lightweight division is comprised of the best fighters in the world, and fighters like Arman Tsarukyan, Justin Gaethje, and Paddy Pimblett, just to name a few, are one of the top contenders that Dana White definitely will give preference to. And let's not forget, I think Dana White clearly holds favorites in his mind, and when Arman Tsarukyan pulled out last second against Islam, whether it was a true injury or not, Dana was definitely infuriated by the situation, and because of this, Arman has not been given a chance for the title, and any future fights for him in the near future are unclear. So for Ilia talking this much and demanding so much upward pressure from Dana to give him that lightweight chance, and for Dana to convince Islam Makhachev with 4 title defenses to vacate his lightweight belt, Ilia has a lot riding on him, and if he does prove to disappoint fans on UFC 317, it's not gonna look too good for Ilia and his future. But let me know what you guys think. Is UFC 317 a make or break for Ilia Topuria? And who do you guys have winning on UFC 317? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe and like. I love all you guys. Peace.